Hello guys and welcome to our new lesson. So, in this lesson we're gonna talk about formulation. What is formulation and how do you employ an high level of formulation? So, I'm gonna show you how to formulate stuff without using my plugin in this lesson, and then in the next lesson we will see how the plugin I specifically coded for the use of medical students and whatever other students or whoever wants to use it works. Formulation is not easy. There are a few principles that work like really good. And I want you write this down. Please do write this down, okay? I've already repeated that in the closest video, but every flashcard should contain only piece of knowledge. Only one, okay? One new piece of knowledge. And we will see how that applies. Second one is always respect the first principle. Sometimes we do think that other knowledge is just in another, it's just part of the answer, right? And instead, we just take things for granted. And if you see the question part, there is some words that you do not actually know. And I'm gonna show you this with a very stark example, and then some maybe is harder to spot example, okay? So bear with me and let's start. So we're gonna see how PCR works. PCR is a molecular technique in testing, in laboratories to spot. Okay, we will see. We will not spoiler anything. Okay, so we open this in Internet Explorer. Please get this extension open in Internet Explorer. Nothing fancy. Then you import it. Obviously, remember, import it into the right folder. We do not actually have a do we have a medicine folder? Yeah. So change this to medicine. Look at the hook, obviously, medicine. So for this time, it's fine. Control Shift A, select, and that's it. Import. Okay. If it gave you any problems, just go on here and click on allow because there's some script problem. Okay, so now you have polymerase chain reaction, and you think, oh, but what the hell is that? How do I even know what polymerase chain reaction is? If you are not in the biology field, you're screwed. This is not easy. This is not easy. At the same time, it's quite easy to rebuild some coherence. Okay, so we're gonna read, and for the sake of this, I'm not gonna do. Should I do extracts? No, I think that extracts would taint your capacity to see what really matters here. Okay, so we don't care about this stuff. Don't care about. Okay, let's see at first the word polymerase chain reaction. So as soon as you see this, you should first. Okay, let's do it with extracts. Let's make it real. So you set a hook here. Please move this here and delete this folder. Okay, and you should ask, what is spoiler, it's about DNA. Okay, so DNA, what is the polymerase? Is that it? How do you pronounce it? Not sure. So polymerase. Okay, so you now go here and you see enzyme that synthesizes DNA molecules. And so you say, oh, it's an enzyme. So the answer here, like, keep it simple. Don't do, because I don't want to shit on Anki people, but what Anki people would do is this. Oh my god, like, this is so wrong. No, hell no, this is an enzyme. Ooh. An enzyme. Then, DNA. I usually paint this yellow because I have problems, I don't know. Also, yeah, you see my screen is different. My monitor just got busted. So if you want to donate your free money out of your pocket, I will send you my bank account, okay? I'm joking, but I'm not really, so. So you say DNA, give it a nice yellow, and polymerase. Okay, control space. Okay, when you go, you see that it's yellow just to control space, so it resets. Sometimes it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, just delete everything until you reach the column. Okay. To go inside, if you're in display mode and you're not moving, see that me pressing stuff does not actually do anything in the text component. You can either press tab or Q. Q to go inside the question component. A, let's press A, and okay, we're not actually selecting this. Okay, just press tab. Just tab your way. I never use Q&A, I just use tab. Tab works like a treat. So, what does it do? Nice, simple question. Synthesize DNA molecules. And in this particular case, take away molecules, because you do not actually know the molecule definition. And you say, oh, I do. No, you don't. You don't even know what synthesizes means. Okay, so let's do like the perfect formulation, because synthesize. Let's take some arrange. It actually arranges DNA. Okay, and you say, oh, but is that what it does? Yeah, actually yes. It doesn't really create DNA out of nowhere, just puts together some little pieces of it. Okay, so again, and do we actually know enough about it now? Let's see. You go on here, you can import this, and I would take this. Just now, let's say you have to know this. I'm sorry, like, I'm a freak for this stuff. No, you actually have to know this because it's very important. So, polymerase. What does it use? Okay, let's review. What is it using to build DNA? Nucleoside triphosphates. And this could actually be seen as a mistake, because now you have to actually know what this is. Okay, so raise. And what you can do here, learn by seeing, not explaining function. Control F3, search text, press G for Google, F for free dictionary, but G for Google, or W for Wikipedia. Usually Google is your best bet. I would take an image. Yeah. And no. Maybe this one's a little better. Yeah, this one is decent. Course images, save. And now we want to, like, if you start adding too many details, you are digging your own grave. Do not add any more details just because you think that SuperMemo can actually prevent you from screwing up. Using SuperMemo means that you will like grind that stuff, not in the bad way, but in the sense that you will need to have a perfect formulation in most cases to get the like least stress from it. If you start inputting random stuff instead of just the essential, and always remember, SuperMemo does not give you any superpowers. It only makes you a very good learner if you employ it the right way. But do not screw up. So, as to not dig us up a huge grave, because if I started inputting like a very, let's say, technical definition of this, you would have to dig and dig until you've reached like basic chemistry. And that would take hours. And we don't want that. We do not want that. Okay? Keep it in mind. Now, what is a nucleoside triphosphate? So we go here and ask. Okay, let's keep it under polymerase. Maybe we will change it. Nucleoside. What is it? Okay, simple question. And give the dumbest of the answers. Also, let's add the picture. Pictures, when you cannot really relate with something, are the best way to go about it. Nucleoside triphosphate. No. Okay, let's leave it proportional. And as you can see, it's just... How can we call this without digging us a grave? That's a good question. Do you know what nitrogen is? So you say sugar, phosphate, nitrogen stuff. And you would think, oh man, that's not right. And it actually is. It's just a very plain answer. You do not have to give the most technical definition, because will they ask you what this is? Maybe in biology. In the rest of the exams, probably not. The most important thing to remember is that this thing is sugar, phosphate, and nitrogen. So now, if we were to be thorough, you would have to search these two, phosphate and nitrogen. We don't really want to lose and waste our time that way, so we're not gonna do that, okay? In this video, you must do it, okay? So, now we do know what a polymerase is. It puts together DNA, right? And I can see like genetic freaks saying, "Oh my God, but you're not saying that polymerase puts together stuff with a double strand, that it breaks the double strand." And who cares? Who cares? If you're doing a molecular biology course, okay, you have to know that. But we're just amateurs that want to learn what a PCR is. If my girlfriend, who studies art history, at least my current girlfriend, I hope she didn't leave me by the date of publishing of this course, asks me, and this example, I precisely took this example because she asked me what a PCR is and how it works. And this is how I explained to her. And the thing is, if I had started this very complex explanation, she wouldn't have cared. And also, I do not care. And I'm not actually sure I remember all the details about it. We're gonna see how you have to approach stuff. And even if you were to study this in a very like professional way, starting from the ground up, like with stupid questions, is always a very nice thing. Like lay the base, okay? Lay the foundation before shooting up, before saying, oh, this is the blah, blah, blah with this, all this process. Who cares? Who the fuck cares? Okay? The basics. You have to know the basics and then we move up. But be careful. Do not overdo it. Okay? So right now we do know that PCR involves a polymerase reaction. Okay? Chain. Why it is chain? Chain reaction. Well, we're actually going to see like here. The problem here, there's like an epistemologic problem where I do already know what this means, so I do not have to research it now because I know that it will come up after. If you don't know that stuff, you cannot be 100% sure about what to do. In that case, your best bet is continue reading. If you notice something missing, look it up after, okay? Okay, is a method widely used to rapidly make millions to billions of copies of a specific DNA sample, allowing scientists to take a very small sample of DNA and amplify it to a large enough amount to study in detail. Okay, that was a lot. Okay, so let's extract this. Let's do Alt X. And now let's go. Let's say we are done for the day. Okay. Okay, now day 2. What are we gonna do today is see more in detail how polymerase chain reaction works. PCR. Man, love me some PCR. Okay, so do you want to keep the references? Like, that's always a good question. My answer is always no. I hate references. At least in this stuff. If I had more, let's say, philosophical and historical stuff or stuff really tied to the source, I would keep the references. Otherwise, no. Is a method widely used to let's keep the references when the source matters. If it's Wikipedia, and unless it's a very specific case, so it's like global knowledge, you don't need to remember. If you need to remember that it comes from a specific journal for whatever reason, leave the references. Okay. Is a method widely used to rapidly make millions to billions of copies of a specific DNA sample. And as you can see, we're actually stupid idiots because we didn't take a definition for DNA. This is one of the reasons why stuff should always be done incrementally. So day after day, not all together. You're always going to leave details. And the more you focus on not forgetting details, the more time you're wasting, okay? Keep the details for tomorrow. Just get the job done today. That's what should like be printed on universities. Sadly, it's actually like the other way around now. So, this in this context is also quite useless. This is probably the important bit. It allows to amplify small samples of DNAs, and let's put a graph bracket to make millions to billions of copies of that specific sample. Okay, this second part is wrong. You shouldn't keep this second part. This one is completely wrong. But for now, we're gonna leave it because maybe it's not that bad leaving it here, okay? When I put stuff between graph brackets is usually when that stuff is not part of the close. You can use whatever convention. This is just something I came up with while I work with my plugin. So we already know about the DNA part, right? We already know. What we don't know is that the polymerase chain reaction still works with DNA and amplify said DNA. So in this part, you actually want to close them both, because both of these are actually units of knowledge you may not always remember. So this now is a clean and nice close. Okay, so Ctrl-Shift-Space, and that's it. Now this becomes your folder. Back here, so we know now, by now we know what polymerase is. The problem is we skipped a very important step. DNA. What is it? And you say, oh, but I know what DNA is. No, you don't. You don't. You do not. Please don't lie to yourself, okay? So search for DNA, images, look for nice images. There is this thing called with fancy names. I'm very bad with like how do you say? See, that's the definition of it. I do not actually remember specific words and definitions for stuff. I only know the broad concept, which is a very bad thing. Even the most, if you work with people that are obsessed with definitions, like doctors. If you're a doctor, I hate you. Okay, I hate you. So, item picture. And do you remember our principle? And you would think, oh, but he doesn't really do this when he's on his own, right? I am so dumb. Like, I have some clauses that are just like, oh, does this? And the answer is plain no. No, like, that's it. Like, that's my clause. Some of my clauses are like that. Like, does this person does this? And the answer is no. Which could be, is Donald Trump a gardener? No. Just because sometimes it prompts my memory to remember the actual thing. So by excluding one thing, I get less confused. Or if I'm confused, I just do this type of clauses. I have very simple clauses in my collection. So what is it? What is this? DNA. No, what is it is a better question. What is it? Here you should actually hide all this stuff because you don't want to actually know. Otherwise you would have to how can I say? You would have to put this and dig deeper, like pyrimidines and purines. You would have to know what they actually are, but we don't want to. We just don't want to waste time, okay? Let's say, what is it made of? And you say nucleotides. Then since we like this image, we just do Alt-D to duplicate, and we're gonna see some filtering after this. What is a nucleotide? And you say nucleoside plus 1 phosphate. And some of you would ask, oh, but isn't this 2 units of knowledge inside my answer? Actually, yes. The answer is actually yes, because you have nucleoside and phosphate. The funny thing is, you already know what a nucleoside is, And the nucleotide like brings you to think of a nucleoside. So first, the only one thing new is that you know what phosphate is, and you know what nucleoside is. So here the new knowledge is just piecing these two together. Okay, it's not the two individuals, because you know the two individuals. Always make sure that you actually know. And here we have the nucleoside triphosphate is sugar, phosphate, and nitrogen. So a nucleoside, not triphosphate, would be sugar and nitrogen stuff. And this is pretty much it. You would only have to add one more question. What does it do? What does DNA do? Ask Google. Google is very nice. What does DNA do? Contains the instruction needed. Okay. Does it do? Okay. Let's make it into not an open question. Let's make it into a close. So DNA, it contains the needed for an organism to function. Let's open a graph and develop the informations. And this is pretty much it. Would you need to close this? Ideally, I guess. Ideally, if you want to go deeper, you have to close. You would have to make an item for develop, survive, and reproduce, and then dig deeper about these three. How does it do that? Otherwise, if you have too broad of a definition, it's bad. Why is it bad if we have too broad of a definition? Because it's cryptic. If I say DNA is used to develop, what does that mean? How? How does it work? So that brings so many hidden information with it that you risk forgetting it. And you have to make a lot of flashcards to actually then make a flashcard about develop your organism. So you have to stay as general as possible. So I think that functioning, I would say to be, this would be a very good close. Neither for an organism to be. Your organism can't be without DNA. It just doesn't work. Or to work. You can choose, okay? You can choose work. Let's make square one. I can try. I definitely can try it. Okay. So C, it contains the informations, and this is the important bit, the informations that DNA carries. And as we started, you would think, oh man, this is so hard. PCR, what is that? And truly, it's nothing big. Okay. Now you have a broad definition of what PCR does. And now you have where you employ it. It's fundamental for genetic testing, including analysis of ancient samples of DNA and identification of infectious agents. Honestly, I would say that this is it. I would say honestly that this is it. Going farther than that, we start digging too deep. Many times, good formulation also means knowing where to stop. I see many people when studying Japanese or stuff like that. I do not study Japanese. I'm not a weeaboo. But people who study Japanese always make this mistake, or languages, they start inputting so many words into their collection that they get overwhelmed. And many of those words, they will never use those. It's just some fancy stuff, so they believe they're cool. Whereas in reality, they're not. You're cool if you can apply your knowledge, otherwise you're just a loser. And this is true in the sense that it doesn't mean that if you don't study engineering, you're not a good student. the other way around. If you study engineering, but you never get around applying that stuff, man, I have bad news for you. Like, maybe you ever felt so smart because you had all this computer science material, but in reality, guess what? So, here you can see it's fundamental to much of genetic testing. Here, it is fundamental to much of genetic testing, including analysis of ancient samples of DNA of infectious agents. Okay, these are obviously like different stuff. I would say that this comes from this, so I would do this. Look at the magic, genetic testing. Okay, now let's do an extract of that. It is fundamental to much of genetic. You know what? We want some hints here. And we're gonna say not testing, manipulation. It is true that in some cases it's manipulation, but testing is the prevalent thing. There's gonna be I'm sure there's gonna be some smart ass saying, oh, but actually I don't care. Shut up. Go make your own course. So here, including analysis of ancient samples of DNA and identification of infectious agents. So I would say that this is ancient samples of DNA is nerdy stuff. So if you're studying medicine here, you can cut this out. Do we want to know that because that it's enjoyable? Maybe, but I do not give a damn. So including analysis, okay. Analysis identification of, oh, this is gonna be fun. So chemical / infectious agent. Okay, that's a nice close. And now Control Shift Enter, done. And that's it. Honestly, for all I care and for all you should care, this is it. Like, this is basic formulation. So this is how you formulate stuff. And I can see people expecting some very difficult kind of situation. And honestly, it's not difficult. It's you who make your life difficult. Just don't make your life difficult and your formulation is gonna come together. You can then proceed incrementally. If you're not studying biology, but this maybe isn't of interest to you, just do it incrementally, just do a little bit in pieces. The best thing is just go without expecting anything from the knowledge, and the knowledge will probably give a lot back to you in some cases. It will probably jump on you without you even doing anything. Don't push. If you push, the knowledge is gonna push back and it's gonna stress you and it's not gonna work. Okay? So this is for our first part of the formulation lesson. We're gonna see the second part together with my plugin, because yes. And so see you in the next lesson.